questions about the topic that's given to us. And I'm not sure whether or not what I'm going to say is going to coincide with what the organizers want to put forward, or the ideas, but I think that's the whole idea of having sessions like this, when we want to exchange ideas. And before I just go through some of the slides, the main questions that I want to actually ask are, when we use this term economic freedom, what does it mean? And that is quite easy to find. You can just Google now and you'll get everybody talking about economic freedom. There have been many studies done internationally that talk about economic freedom. But at least in my opinion, the discussion of economic freedom that you find comes with an ideological base, right? And I'll go through some of those things with you. But the question that I want to put forward is, when you say economic freedom for who? I think that's a question that we need to ask, right? And even without going through the definitions, I think all of us will agree. In order for economic freedom to be meaningful, it has to be economic freedom for all. It can't be just for some and not for others. So that's one. Secondly, liberalization. Again, very, you can say, very charged process. Giving an idea of certain features. Again, ideologically based. Right? And finally, when you talk about economic growth, are you all economics background, or you have taken some? So when you talk about growth, of course, it's basically your change in your amount of production or expenditure that you make. So is that all that you want? Right? So what does economic freedom mean? Freedom for whom? The ideological base of this discourse on economic freedom, and is growth all that matters? Right? And finally, if we're talking about the Malaysian context, then how does this economic freedom reflect in terms of its relationship to youth? Because there is a certain position that is put forward in the writing. Does it apply in the case of Malaysia? Right? So I'll try to do some of this as you go along. It's not moving. So we can do something else. Right? This one here. And what do you do? Okay. All right. Economic freedom. As I said, when I look through some of the available literature, what gets me is that the focus is on the individual. Just like in some of the other concepts that we're going to be looking at, the focus is on the individual. Freedom to prosper within a country without intervention. So already the indication is that intervention is bad. Individual freedom is what you're looking for when you talk about freedom. Right? And individuals are free to secure, protect, preserve human resource, labor, private property. So for a nation, then the question that you have to ask, how do you ensure that all individuals have that freedom? And how do I term this freedom? You have equal starting points, you have equal chances of success. Some of you may disagree that it's necessary. Mainstream neoclassical economics that we teach to all students in universities today doesn't bother about the starting point. Yeah. And their definition of equal opportunity is a very, very minimalist view. Yeah. It's like telling everyone that the SPM exam is your entry point to school, to university. But without any, discussion about whether everybody really has the same chance of sitting for the SPM exam. So, in a nation, when you talk about economic freedom, freedom for who? And how does that society make sure that everybody has that equal opportunity to succeed? And just as a passing remark, we've heard about Amartya Sen's ideas about not freedom to, but freedom from. Yeah? In other words, freedom means that you are free from poverty, from hunger, right? So rather than freedom to own property, now you are free from poverty. So that side of the thing should also be discussed. How and who are all these individuals going to be given that equal opportunity? So is it the state, is it law that's going to ensure this, or norms in society? The society collectively agree that this is what we're going to be having in terms of the freedoms that we have in the economic sphere. Liberalization, and I got to say I'm focusing on the economic dimensions. Again, lessening of government regulations and restrictions. So this idea that government is bad is already in the discourse. Yeah. That's the view presented. If any of you have read Robert Helbronner, he's got this little book called The Veil of Capitalism. The Veil of Capitalism, in which he argues capitalism is ideology. Yeah. And one of the pillars of it is state intervention. If you're talking about liberal market capitalism, state intervention is bad. And so whenever you mention the state, you will be thinking of all the bad examples that you can think of a state. But you could equally think of examples of the state which are good. But that's not the picture that you get when you read, at least when you read the literature that people talk about economic freedom and liberalization. The doctrine is associated with classical liberalism. For the nation as a whole, you must assume that private interest will serve social interest. If you believe that the individual is the key, then this idea of everybody pursuing their own self-interest will also lead to the best for society's interest. Yeah, so this idea of unintentional, I'm only thinking of myself.
We have many chances in mainstream society, and then we have minor population.
Sure.
Those in minority.
So that's exactly what I'm going to point out. So when you say economic freedom for whom? This is very important point. Again, when you talk about liberalization, the people who talk about it, they generally have a view that the state is seen as bad. Yeah? So who will ensure, again, that all are free from poverty and hunger? Is it the state, or is it the society? Deregulation, very closely connected to the idea of liberalization, which was maybe a trend in the 80s with Thatcherism and Reaganomics. We also had that phase in Malaysia in the 80s. We went for a phase of privatization, liberalization, deregulation. These words were used in the late 80s and maybe early 90s. Revision, reduction, or elimination of laws and regulations that hinder free competition, thus allowing market forces to drive the economy. And they make it very clear, even in the definitions given, it doesn't mean no control. It doesn't mean laissez-faire. Yeah, so there is a role, but let's have some limits. So then the question will be, what are those limits that you want to have in society? If you don't mean a totally market determines everything, and I'm assuming that because it's accepted that there can be problems if market determines everything, then again, who and how do you determine that level of freedom that you have? Alright, so for who? When they use this term property in the literature written, it's always focusing on private property. Public property is a valid form of property. Right? So, personally to me, whenever we talk about economic freedom, we acknowledge private property, but we should also accept public property as a legitimate form of property. One could argue private property as we understand it today is only about 200 years, 250 years old in the history of civilization. Previous to that, it was either public property, or even if it's private, it belongs to the king or to the aristocrat or whoever it was. But the private property that we have today is relatively new form of property. There is a need for proper regulation rather than no regulation. Okay, now, so then with this topics of economic freedom and liberalization and the connotation of deregulation, the question is asking how is that connected to growth? So again, what are the usual ways we talk about growth? GDP, GNP, GNI, and all of these things mean different things. Right? And the per capita figures are always the ones used. Per capita is nothing other than average. Right? Average. And the finding is, and I'm quoting some of these studies that talked about the relationship between economic freedom and growth. Per capita incomes are higher in economically free countries. Some aspects of economic freedom affect economic growth, but not all. Okay, so we'll look at some of those things that people put forward as being those components of economic freedom. The level of economic freedom is, however, not related to growth. So they're implying that there must be some minimum degree of economic freedom. But whether you have a very high level of economic freedom or a relatively low level of economic freedom, at least as far as studies go, doesn't seem to have much impact on the growth. The quality of institutions are very important, but even that is for developed countries, economically developed countries. In the case of developing countries, actually the studies that have been done show the other relationship. It's economic development, not even growth. It's economic development that impacts the institutions, that improves the institutions. Okay, so you got people who say that institutions affect development or growth. And it seems to be valid for economically developed countries. But in economically developing countries, and by the way, I'm told this term is no longer used. World Bank has stopped using developed, economically developing, and least developed. But that's, you know what I'm meaning. But in the developing countries, the studies show that actually it is development that improves institutions. MPTS? No. Institutions as in your institutions that you have in society, good governance, your legal system. Yes, these institutions, right? In developed countries, they have an impact on growth. But in developing countries, it's actually the other way around. From the studies that have been done, it is development that will impact and improve your institutions. So even in Malaysia, somebody has asked, is FDI good for growth? Everybody says yes. But actually from some of the studies done, it's actually growth has impacted on FDI, not the other way around. Okay? So debates go on. I mean, these are not conclusive findings and cannot be changed. So then, is growth all that matters? So the question is asking about economic freedom and the challenge of growth. So is growth what we want? In Malaysia now we're talking about high income country, which is the per capita income thing. And then we've added inclusiveness and sustainability, right? The three pillars of the new economic model. So meaning to say that even in Malaysia, we're not only looking at growth. And in the discourse itself, the discourse has changed from growth, that was what was discussed in the 50s and 60s. They talked about development. And today, it's sustainable development, right? So you find that growth itself may not be the only thing that you want. So maybe the question that we need to discuss is not economic freedom, liberalization, and the challenge of growth, but economic freedom, liberalization, and the challenge of development, or sustainable development. Then you have a wider discourse. If it is just growth, then you're only talking about the numbers. And so, before I move on, the last point there was happiness. Right? The happiest country in the world. Well, I remember Bhutan. I don't know whether it's still relevant. Bhutan, yeah? I don't know about their economic freedom index. Bhutan, I didn't check it in the list, but Bhutan is the happiest country. The people are the happiest in Bhutan. So, is that important? And if it is, maybe not. Maybe you're right. It could be Finland. The recent one that was done, I think they showed some other Nordic countries also the happiest places to be. Yeah. So, what about happiness? So we talk about growth, we talk about development, and now we talk about sustainable development, and now people are talking about happiness. So, economic freedom, does it give you happiness? This is the Malaysian. I'm just taking it from the economic planning unit. Their standard slides. And I just wanted to highlight number 4. So firstly, as far as the system is concerned, we have a mixed economic system. We have private sector, market forces, but we have government intervention. So it's the level of intervention that we're talking about. Is it too much? Is it too little? Is it okay? Right? And then number 4, this point that you raised, right? Malaysia is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multicultural country. So if you go back to the early question, freedom for who? Freedom for who? Is it freedom for all? Would focusing on the individual, focusing on the market, enable everyone to have that freedom? The other sessions are talking about political dimensions, social dimensions. I think religion is in one of the sessions, right? So when you want to talk about development in Malaysia, you're going to have to look at so many different criteria. You can't run away from the ethnic criteria, it's a reality. Geographical criteria. It's become very important in recent times. The sectorial criteria. Concerns about whether or not we have moved into services too fast without an industrial base. So sectorial criteria when we're talking about development. Gender criteria. Economic status. I suppose the other way to put that is class. So in Malaysia, focus is on individual, private property and deregulation. Or is it something else? What has been our focus all these years in Malaysia? But there have been phases in Malaysia's economic management over the years. And what is that? What are those phases? Oh, sorry, it's the next one. So let me just talk about this before we go to the final takeover. In a market-oriented economy, this is what the literature says. Remember, I've been asking the question: who determines economic freedom, the level of liberalization, what is the proper degree of regulation? In market-oriented economy, the literature says it's not the government laws or the state that determines that, but it is societal norms. That means your society has got to agree on what they consider to be the level of economic freedom, the level of liberalization that you want, and so on. It has to grow organically out of society itself. reflecting the history, its culture, the experience of generations learning how to live with one another. So obviously in the case of Malaysia, which is multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multicultural, it's going to be much more complicated, yeah, to get society to set the norms, right? And that is why I suppose in Malaysia we've had the state playing a bigger role. Are we ready to reduce that role and come to some kind of agreement as a society, as one society? What values, whose values? I suppose previous to this one was religion. That's why having Zul and the recent talking about the role of religion, you would have seen what values, whose values. Can religion play any role in multicultural, multi-religious Malaysia? All individuals share the same values. So when the government introduced inculcation of Islamic values, then other religions says, why Islamic values, why not other religions, right? So then they changed it to say universal values. Creation and maintenance of a mutual sense of liberty for all. Now, this is interesting. If economic growth is an outcome of economic freedom, then you would expect the decade or the period in which we had the greatest amount of economic freedom, and that means smaller government, to be the decade or the period where Malaysia experienced the fastest growth. But if you look at our economic growth performance, the 1970s is actually the decade in which we grew the fastest. I can't remember the figures offhand, but close to 8%. The decade of the 70s. Okay? And that was not the decade where you had small government. You had big government in the 70s. The period that you had the smallest government would coincide with maybe the mid-80s onwards. You had a smaller role of government because we went down the privatization, liberalization, deregulation thing. So in the case of Malaysia, our decade of highest growth was not the decade in which we had the greatest amount of economic freedom as defined by the people who talk about economic freedom. Okay, so I'm not sure what that means, okay, but just that it seems to be a bit of an anomaly as far as Malaysia is concerned. I just looked at this, and you can go to the websites that talk about economic freedom index, and you can get these things for all countries. I just took the ASEAN 5. Singapore comes out with the highest or the most economic freedom, followed by Philippines. What are the things that they look? And this is the economic freedom index that's done by this institute in Canada. Right? They look at the size of government, they look at the legal system and property rights. So size of government means smaller size of government. Legal system and property rights, the greater role for private property. And legal system that seems to give more, let's say, protection for that private property. Sound money, that means, generally speaking, the least restrictions as far as money coming in, going out of the country. So capital controls was a big no-no for us, right? In the 90s, we would have scored very badly after the crisis. And you can see that in the results. Freedom to trade internationally, we always do very well because Malaysia is a very open trading nation. Except that maybe our tariffs for certain goods and services, although now we are in AFTA, so that doesn't really matter. Regulations that you have that govern the economy, and then you have the overall score. So, Philippines does better than us. But our growth rates have been better than Philippines, if you look at it in terms of overall. Interesting to note, Finland, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, countries in the Nordic region, they all have very low scores as far as the size of government. So when you look at the size of government, Singapore does the best, followed by the higher score, the smaller government. Yeah? The smaller the score means the greater role for government. So all these Nordic countries have a very low score for size of government, but they are the best performing countries as far as development is concerned. Right? So they rank very high in HDR and also in happiness studies that have been done. So let's just stop here. Economic freedom, its relationship to growth or to something else. Secondly, economic freedom for who? Economic freedom for the class that owns the capital or to the worker. Right? One of the things that is very clear in the case of Malaysia is that the share of the workers, the labor in the economy has not done very well over the last few decades. We need to upgrade that percentage of the share of the economy that goes to workers. Right? So economic freedom for who? Thirdly, the whole discourse of economic freedom seems to focus on the individual rather than looking at a balance between the individual and society. And finally, is it possible for us to see a situation in which society and social norms can replace the government in determining what is that appropriate level of freedom of regulation that we want to achieve in Malaysia, in multi-religious, multi-ethnic, multicultural Malaysia. Okay, with that, I'll just stop here and we look forward to some comments and questions later. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. That was an excellent introduction to the discussion for this afternoon. So what I did was basically I took the dia punya theme though. Okay, the theme was on liberalization and everything. So you'll be hearing about 2 hours of deregulation, liberalization, all the ism too from economics. But I will try to make it because I am a visual person. I'm a very graphic person. Okay, so I prepared this economic freedom, poverty, and human development. And I remember Prof was saying just now. He said that you should not just look at growth alone. You should look beyond growth because in economics we should not, because we differentiate between growth and development. Okay, so I will start with that. So the title is economic freedom, poverty, and human development nexus. So Madeline, Berma. The Berma is not, I'm not from Myanmar, so I need to highlight that because I always have problem with that, okay? So, can I just turn this around?
Can.
Boleh, eh? Alright. Okay, so I will introduce, but Prof have done the first part, what is economic freedom, liberalization and everything, so I will not go into the details. But what I am going to do today is basically to share with you all from the work that, because I am very much a researcher on the ground. Because I do a lot of work on poverty and rural development in Malaysia. So I'm not looking at the international or the global phenomena, but looking at what is the effect actually when we talk about Malaysia having, the PM today just announced, I think today or yesterday, that our economic growth has surpassed the 5-point-something%. He said it was 6.2%. So everybody was calling me and said, Madeline, my student lah, not that other people asking. Madeline said, what does this mean? Does it mean that our income is going to increase? Does it mean that cost of living is going to go down? Does it mean that harga minyak akan turun? I said, oh my God, pandai juga student saya ni. Alright, maknanya jadi orang macam surat khabar, not bad. Okay? So then I will look into poverty and a little bit about urban development. Now that's me, in case you don't notice, in Sabah, Madeline, and I'm from the Fakulti Ekonomi dan Pengurusan di UKM, and all my work, that's why I need to put that the context so that you understand my background. Okay, saya memang kajian saya banyak tentang pembangunan luar bandar, masyarakat orang asal. I'm an orang asal, in case you don't notice, because people terbayang I will be in my sumpit and everything, because I'm an Iban from Sarawak. Okay, we always get these two things. They call me, are you from Myanmar? Secondly, Iban. Macam ni apa Iban? Inilah Iban. Okay, so you're talking about, just now you're talking about the ethnic criteria. Okay. Liberalization, Prof has just mentioned, this one I just took it out from the literature, and then which is said, it's a very broad term that usually refers to fewer government regulation. So what we are talking, when people said that liberalisasi, ia hanya merujuk kepada kerajaan, because in economics, especially development, we are always caught between these two arguments. Should the state tu maksudnya kerajaan, patut tak kerajaan campur tangan, or should you just let it the market? You know, in the present system, they are looking at, you better reduce regulation. Jangan campur tangan sangat. Sebab tugas kerajaan sebenarnya, asalnya, tugas kerajaan dua je yang besarnya. Satu, kutip cukai. Kedua, jaga keamanan. So, jadi bila berlakunya keadaan bermasalah, maka kerajaan kata, I really need to take action. So, itu yang dia campur tangan dalam urusan ekonomi. So, this big debate between market and the state has always been going on. But if you notice now, with the economic freedom index and all the freedom punya indicators, it does show that people are talking about government, please let go. It is not your role. Your role tak ada lagi dah. Tugas you duduk jangan duduk kat belakang. Because government, as Prof rightly mentioned, there are some limitations to what the government can do. So, jadi this argument will always go on. If you ask the people dari latar belakang komunisme or latar belakang sosialis, dia akan kata government must intervene. Kalau tidak, siapa yang nak menyelesaikan masalah kemiskinan? Because the market cannot do it. Because the market has always been unfair. Because the market will only allocate, itu yang menyebabkan yang kaya menjadi lebih kaya dan yang miskin mungkin kekal miskin atau lebih jadi miskin. So liberalization is about reducing all these things. But if we look at Malaysia, we have these three phases. The first phase, pure laissez-faire. That was immediately after our independence. So zaman Tengku Abdul Rahman. Sebab Tengku Abdul Rahman, because kita baru mencapai kemerdekaan, so biarlah. And that's when something happened in our country. Of course, you all know the famous 13th May. The 13th May yang berlaku 1969. So when that happened, so our politicians, our economists start thinking, something is not right. The market is there. The market seems to be able to allocate resources. Tetapi kenapa ada rusuhan? That's when they realize that sebenarnya there are inequality dalam masyarakat. Now, when there is inequality, you cannot allow the market to adjust it. But of course, for those yang memperjuangkan economic freedom, dia kata, let the market function. Because ia akan mencapai keseimbangan. But which keseimbangan? Ini yang nanti saya akan tunjuk ni. Memang niat untuk mencapai keseimbangan memang bagus. Kita membiarkan pasaran. Tetapi pasaran juga ada hadnya. Seperti juga dalam konteks pemerintah. Okay, that is. I think Prof did a wonderful job in the earlier discussion, deregulation. Apa tadi dia sebut? He covered all the three concepts.
Sustainability.
Belum, dia cuma kata. I remember it was the first one was freedom and economic freedom, liberalization, deregulation. So we will not go into that. Okay. So, but for me, economic freedom is at the heart of individual. You talk about should it be for whom? Betul juga. Your freedom and my freedom may not be, may not be the same. If it is the same, look at the orang asli. We are talking about religious freedom tadi. Sebelum ni, okay? So it is about choice. But is it correct kalau kita, macam you kata, saya nak isap rokok, suka hati saya lah dekat bilik ni. But adakah you menafikan hak orang lain yang tak nak rokok dalam bilik? So whose freedom is it? Your freedom to smoke and my freedom to reject you. So is it freedom that we are talking. But this is a whole, conceptual that we have to look at. Okay. Now, freedom ni dia ada banyak di situ. Being economists, we like to look at it. We think that is the big, broad base, mesti besar. So then we have political freedom and things like that. And these things create kepercayaannya. If once you have all this trust ni, maka secara tidak langsung masyarakat itu adalah bebas dan tidak terpengaruh oleh apa-apa. Now the moment you dismantle that, ini yang menyebabkan mereka menjadi bergantung. Itu yang kita lihat dalam masyarakat. If you do not have that freedom, what will happen? You rely on the state, you rely on whatever that you can rely, ataupun masyarakat negara asing. But these are some of the fundamental. Okay, now kenapa economic freedom ni penting sangat? For those who believe in economic freedom, mereka yang amat percaya tentang perjuangan untuk mengadakan kebebasan ni, dia kata satu ialah dia adalah satu fundamental rights. Now, in our country, is it really? Yes, I mean, you believe there is economic rights, but how do you relate it to political freedom? And belum lagi cerita civil freedom. Kita how many bersih already? Now, fine, right? So suddenly kuning cannot be used already now. It used to be royal color. So now, but never mind, let's not go into that. And then it's also seen to be a prerequisite to them. They said this is a prerequisite to economic growth. But as Prof rightly argued, it can be the other way also. Yeah? Is it economic freedom that leads to growth, or is it growth that leads to freedom? He used the word development tadi. And kami dalam pembangunan, we use the word human development untuk yang lebih luas saja. Because growth only looks at angka. Kita sibuk aja dengan angka. You meet the figures, but you miss the people. Dalam kita kan KPI, all the time kita mencapai KPI. You look at our student result, berpuluh-puluh A. Intellectually, where are we? You look at this kind of discourse. Academics, you don't see, it's only people like you lah, wasting your time sampai pukul 6 petang. Just wanting to hear something different. Look at the university. We don't have it. It is also intellectual, blah blah blah. Tak ada intellectual discourse kita. Okay, economic freedom to me dia berkait apa dengan perkara yang seperti poverty and inequality. We have to look at that. Okay. Political rights, civil rights, and of course in Malaysia tadi Prof was talking, we are so concerned about haram and halal, sedangkan konsep corruption itu lupa, environmental degradation, hak kebebasan ada. Whereas in Islam it's so big, because I am from UKM. I was so happy when I went to the store, saya nampak Syed Najib Al-Atas. He was my teacher. So I said, wow, my teacher. I mean, he is a great thinker and everything. So things like this, Right. Now, let's get back to we economists. Kalau dia tak ada kelok tu, they're not economists. So now, if you look at economic growth, interestingly, right now, today we, as I said we instead of 5.6, our honourable Prime Minister was so happy to announce, Bank Negara lah announced, we overshoot, expected. I think 6.2% if I'm not mistaken yesterday it was reported. And then ada juga orang yang jahat pula tu. Dia kata Datuk Seri Najib is very good at falsifying data. Oh my goodness, never mind. We have a lot crisis of what they call kepercayaan. Yeah. Now yes, we must. I must admit that yes, our growth has not been like Prof have said is 10 something percent. We used to achieve 10 point something percent, the highest in the. He said 8, is it?
90s.
In the 90s. Okay? Now, those are the good old days. You see, the thing about growth is that bila kita di peringkat yang paling rendah, you melonjak, you tinggi tau. You look at the European countries, the developed countries, pertumbuhannya sangat rendah. It's only 2%. But the economy is already very, very big. You macam kita miskin lah. Dulu you tak ada duit. Sekali you dapat RM1. Wow, it's 100% increase. Tapi bila you dapat RM1 menjadi, that's why benda tu kita kena faham. Yes, we have increased a lot. Our GDP tinggi. I know ekonomi suka tengok GDP. Okay. So it does show that kita mencapai pertumbuhan. I'm so proud. So kalau PM bertanya, yes, kata Dr. Madeline proud. Yes, very proud. I am very proud. And tadi Prof menggunakan index. So every year, the world, there will be an index, they call it Economic Independence Index. You can download it. Anyway, you can even plot your own graph. So I plotted the graph for Malaysia. So it does show that based on the indicators that was given, Prof kata tadi ada 5, 6 I think on the side ya, yang dia kata size of government, blah blah blah. So we have improved. Statistically, we have improved. We are very proud. If you love data, very happy to see this data. Yes, these are where we. Now, yang line 2 is the world average. So saya ambil ni daripada I can't remember. It's also from the same web. So you see, business freedom, we exceed the world average. Not bad. You know, for the next campaign, can use it. Yeah. Trade freedom very high, but we lacking 2: investment freedom and financial freedom. So, I mean, but these are just figures. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We should go beyond figures. This is what my next part of my presentation. You see, these are they are bagi index, so you can cut across 159 countries. You can just compare, very easy. If you are a student in doing your masters, you can do PhD, tak boleh lah, it's so straightforward. So you just compare whether it has improved. So property rights, we have improved. Government integrity, it has gone down. So they compare from the previous year. Okay, so this is 2017, so they compare with 2016. So you all know lah apa isu dia dekat situ. One of the biggest issue is 1MDB, right? So judicial effectiveness, tak banyak berubah. Okay.
Does it mean dead?
Which one? No change. No change. Business, yes. Regulatory, yes. We are doing very, very well. We are very good at regulating. And in fact, Bank Negara, is one of the best in terms of, kalau you tengok dari segi kewangan dunia. That's why people like Tan Sri Zati, she what, like 8 years successively being the best bank negara, central bank, So that side, but we learned from our financial crisis of 1997 because we were so lag at that time. So when the crisis hit us, then we said we must do something about it. So rest assured, our Bank Negara, we are at TikTok. Okay, so labor freedom not really very good. Monetary, government spending, dia kata size tadi and then if you look at tax burden, fiscal health, tak banyak berubah. And then yang lain tu investment tadi yang dah turun. Yang paling teruk sekali is financial freedom. Okay, alright. Now, in terms of figures, we are fantastic. Look at this. Kita kan, you see, this is the thing about negara now. Because of openness, we have to fulfill like at least 10 index, international index. Corruption perception index, competitiveness index, freedom index, and that's why we have to be transparent. So, and this transparency is dia akan ukur across countries, 159 countries or 160 countries. So you really, kalau saya jadi PM, memang saya akan kejut setiap kali laporan ini. It's exactly like a report card. Now, but there are some biasness. I'm not saying that it's not biased because macam corruption index, it's not corruption index, it's a corruption perception index. How people perceive you. Okay, so these are issues. And we at the universities also, we all ada ranking dan sebagainya. So we are the top 25 in the most competitive nation, happy. We are number 4 biggest economic powerhouse, blah, happy lagi. Among the highest growth and blah blah. Figure wise, memang kita doing very well. But these are some of the things that I want to show to you. How do we fare when it comes to reality? I would like to look at our poverty data. Since 1970, if you look at number 1, we this is not self-gratification or whatever. These are figures that have been acknowledged and has been verified by the World Bank, IMF. Malaysia has done very, very well in terms of poverty reduction. What we have failed is not failed, we have not achieved that much is inequality. Itu yang agak sedikit problem sikit tu. So poverty, yes, we have done very well. If you look at massive drop from if you look in the 1970s, at the national level, 49.3%. Meaning what the figure shows is that every time you throw a stone, half of the population are below poverty in 1970s. If you look at cerita Piramila, tak payah cerita jauh. Dia jadi penarik beca lah, so that's reality. So our policies have really helped us in terms of reducing that. So especially rural, you look at rural. So now our challenge is no longer just to reduce poverty. Problem dia sekarang kita what we call pockets of poverty. Because in Malaysia, poverty is targeted. Meaning to say, you may be sitting here and you are the most poor, selagi you tidak daftar dalam our system, you are not recognized. And bila you tak recognized, maknanya you tidak menerima all the bantuan. Now, you bayangkan orang penan yang 7 hari 7 malam, manalah dia tahu there is such a system called e-kasih. Tak adalah dia pergi degil kata, you, I am poor. So that is the issue that we are having right now. The little what we call pockets of poverty. In the old days, when you have 1 million, you just go out into the rural areas, you distribute, you are sure to get orang miskin. Now, you nak mencari 2 orang penan dekat mana ni? Seorang dekat Miri, seorang dekat Limbang. So the cost of addressing, alleviating poverty now is so much higher. Okay. So that we must understand. Yeah. So yes, we have reduced. Now, another thing that we in economics would love to look at is what we call the Gini coefficient. The latest that we had was 2014. Actually, they have the 2016. What these figures show, lagi dia menghala ke satu means dia lagi equal. Okay. So now 0.410, is it better or is it worse off than 0.370? Menghala ke satu is better. The higher the figure means more equality.
This is the equality between B40, M40.
Belum lagi. Kalau kita tak ada tu dalam ni. We only 1970 kita tak ada B40, B20, but they only use income. They use only income, absolute income. So only now 2017 they start using multi-dimensional definition of poverty. In the old days it's always an income line. So maknanya anybody, so dia bandingkan. Selalunya figures ini akan diberikan oleh IPU. IPU akan bagikan. Kalau kita rakyat jelata memang susah nak dapat data ini sebab it is census data. Susah HIS they call it, HIS, household income survey, which those will do it. Okay. So if we look at it, so ours is that kita getting what is it? National. So that was 1970. So for 0.421, so ours is getting better. Now, however, kajian oleh Prof Muhammad Khalid from UM yang banyak the colours of inequality, he was already hinting that yes, kita kan obsessed dengan 3 Melayu, Cina, India. Data has always been on that. Okay? He said in the old days, in the 70s, the inequality is between Melayu, Cina, India. Now, in our term we call it inter-inequality, inter-ethnic, okay? Melayu, Cina, India. So I will masuk dalam Melayu, somehow or another. Yeah? So that's why when you look at my data was fantastic. We was doing so well because kami di Lombok dengan orang Melayu. So that's the data. So that was in the good old days. The issue was that so dasar ekonomi baru was introduced, dasar wawasan negara introduced, trying to narrow the gap between Melayu, Cina, India. Lately, the issue is no longer Melayu, Cina, India. It is what we call vertical inequality, iaitu intra. Di kalangan orang Melayu yang kaya dengan orang Melayu yang miskin, the gap. There's a big gap now. Cina kaya, Cina miskin, there's a big gap. India kaya, India. So isu dia bukan lagi nak address. That's why kita sekarang sibuk dengan B40. Dah tak nak lagi, dah sibuk lagi dengan kita dah bukan nak kata kita selesai, tidak. Tapi the concern right now is no longer just Melayu Cina. Because kita ada CIMB lah sekarang. Cina, Melayu, India, Bangladesh. So that was the bad. So what I'm trying to share, tell you is that yes, we have achieved good economic growth. We managed to reduce poverty. We managed to reduce our income inequality. But the new emerging issues are there. Now, this is just to show to you how rapid we did. My source was from the World Bank. Now, these are new issues that are coming. You look at in terms of our GDP per capita. Yeah? Negeri mana yang one of the highest? Oh, look at Kuala Lumpur. Yeah? Naik Kuala Lumpur lagi mana? Penang? Sarawak. Yes, I love your nampak Sarawak. Because it's going to prove another point. So if you look at it, that's why if you look kalau parti pembangkang tu, dia nak tangkap semua tu lah. Yang 94,000 tu, Road to Putrajaya. Dia tak nak ambil Sarawak, semua tu tak nak buat. Sarawak dia nak. Pemilih, mana pemilih? Kelantan tak payah pun. I mean, I'm just joking. But what I'm trying to say, if you look at the figures, what it shows that one thing, yes, we have a very high GDP, very high. However, the inequality between the states is very, very wide. You look at 94,000 dengan Kelantan 12,000. What is the distance physically? Nothing kalau nak bandingkan. Okay, so please remember Sarawak. I want you to remember Sarawak because I want to show you poverty nanti. Then suddenly kita melihat mean household income. Yes, mean household income Kuala Lumpur paling tinggi. Tadi state Now when you turn per capita, you will look into dia punya pendapatan tu ialah you start tengok individu. I mean per capita means you divide by total population. You look at Sarawak. Suddenly we were one of the highest tadi 44 berapa? Ours was very very high. But mean household income dia low. So but the highest in the so ini yang Sabah dengan Sarawak nak mengamuk sangat ni. So maknanya the state is rich but
the people is pure.
So what is wrong? Something is not right. Mana pun Kelantan okey lah, data dia betul. Data dia, I mean, it goes without doing even research pun kita tahu kan. But I like the part yang Prof you kata that you also should look at happiness. That one kita memang tak ada data happiness, belum lagi.
Does it means that Kelantan is the poorest?
Yes, it is. Income. But do not be obsessed with income. We economists should go in. But then dia ada korelasi nanti infrastruktur lah. Jadi benda tu sama.
If I'm not wrong, satu kajian katakan bahawa orang Melayu Kelantan lebih kaya daripada orang Melayu Johor.
Betul?
Jadi kajian ini menjadikan sebaliknya atau tidak?
Tidak, dia begini. Bila you ambil purata ke you mengambil semua? Tundaim alone is, where is Tundaim from? Kedah. He will help Kedah, when it comes to per capita. Ini yang menjadi masalah bila kita mengambil secara ini negara state, they divide macam Malaysia lah. Kita punya pendapatan for high income economy berapa puluh ribu, 15,000 USD. Siapa di kalangan kita yang mendapat pendapatan 15,000? Itulah isu dia per capita. Per capita maksudnya dia kumpulkan mungkin rakyat orang Kelantan. Based on dia punya survey, dia ambilnya rakyat orang Kelantan yang even duduk dekat KL, probably most high chances is that they are staying in KL, but they will still claim that they are Kelantanese.
I think the reason why it's low is because they consider those who are in Kelantan.
In Kelantan, that's right.
The Kelantanese who are outside Kelantan will not be counted in Kelantan unless they give their
survey,
in Kelantan. But
because this is survey done on the household di Kelantan. So jadi pendapatan dia memang. Tapi kalau you tanya orang Kelantan secara keseluruhan, whether they stay in Kelantan ke, you di Sarawak ramai yang Kelantan. Because most of the school. Because they many of them in our school. Ini menjadi isu sekarang di Sarawak.
What about the cost of living lah?
Cost of living betul lah.
From my head lah, in Kelantan the lowest.
Yes, the lowest. So this I said, do not just count pendapatan. Ini hanya menunjukkan pendapatan saja. Tetapi ini adalah indikator yang sangat penting. Because happiness you cannot, it's not easy to measure. Dan kita, I don't think EPU want to measure happiness. Yes.
Maknanya satu lagi tadi, state capital untuk Sarawak 44,000 something. Jadi Sarawak masih lagi negara yang paling miskin. Maknanya bahawa terlalu ramai orang yang miskin dan ada segelitas dia orang kaya yang terlalu kaya. Betul atau tidak?
Betul. So, data ni, yang ini hanya menunjukkan, like Prof kata, masa dia buat survey tu, dia pergi ke orang dekat Sarawak. We have about 30,000 orang Sarawak di Johor Bahru. Bukan Johor, Masai. Can you imagine their income because they're working in Singapore?
Wow.
Now, if you take them, and we only have like 2 millionaires, multi-millionaire. You ambil pendapatan dia, you campur dengan pendapatan orang Iban yang lain, happy kami purata. Very high. See? This is the law of average. Macam saya kata tunda M tadi lah. Tunda M seorang, lepas tu you letakkan dia dengan orang Kedah yang lain, happy je purata Kedah naik. Yang menguasai is cuma tunda M. So something like that lah. I'm citing him because dia antara yang terkaya. But never mind. Now, this is the color of money. I took this from, I can't remember where I take this. Now, what it shows here is that dari segi pertambahan, memang kalau kita tengok dia menggunakan indeks, the Malays, dia kata pendapatan dia memang dah meningkat lah kan. Tapi kalau kita lihat sebenarnya, itu yang jadi masalahnya. Data ni dia lebih bersifat average. Bila dia average, dia melindungi the reality, perbezaan yang sangat-sangat ketara. Disparity. That's when we start looking into that. Now EPU is using multi-dimensional poverty index. Dia tak nak lagi guna yang ini. Now then we start looking at, only lately kita menggunakan B40, middle 40, top 40. This kind of data nowadays is easily available. In the old days, dia orang jaga tu macam jaga emas. We have to have clearance. Macam kami yang membuat kajian kemiskinan, selagi so they know siapa yang ambil ada data ni. So but now the only thing yang sukar sekarang adalah wealth. Yang tu kita tak boleh dapat. Yang data pun tidak masalah dah. Because they do that. But siapa yang menguasai syarikat mana, siapa mempunyai share dekat mana, that one, people like Terence Gomez saja can have access to that. Because it's like 20 years of research, dia boleh connect. Ini NCA punya, rupanya dia ada proxy kat sini. And it's really, really not easy. Don't even know whether we can do it. But what it shows is that, if you look at it, in the top 20 bumis menguasai 40%. Jadi maknanya benda tu tidaklah jauh sangat. So yang kita nak sekarang sebenarnya banyak dekat sini, middle class. We wanted to create more middle class, so that we want to have a bigger middle class. Yang atas tu tak boleh terlalu besar sangat. Tapi kalau you tengok jurang perbezaan pendapatan dia sangat jauh. Because the top 20 is kita mengharapkan, I think they are about 12,000. Yang pertengahan average, yang pertengahan ni is about 5,000, yang ini about 3,000. So yang jauh sekali is that top 20. Alright, just to show you. And these are the realities with economic growth and liberalization. Non-Malay Bumi Putra, maksud saya lah tu. 57% of our communities do not have financial assets. I took this from APF. The Malays, about 55% of the Malays do not have financial assets. Chinese, Indian. So Chinese, Indian, low. Dia kata household with zero savings. 90% of our rural household tidak menyimpan. Because the nature of savings for the rural, anak, dia bukan saving dalam bentuk wang, tanah and things like that. So these are all data from here. The urban about 86%. Ini baru savings tau. You belum lagi cerita EPF lagi. You belum lagi cerita investment, very very low. Jadi yang kaya sebenarnya, if you look at wealth, it's even wider. Dia punya gap dia. Income not too bad, but when you take into account wealth, it's even broader dia punya masalah. This our B40. So, yang banyak ni yang tengah-tengah tu dah yang termasuk kita lah tau. Aspiration. Our aspiration is to become rich. Come here, middle and upper. Jadi now what they're trying to do, the poor, even in Malaysia now, we were told starting this year, you can't use the term poor anymore because it's too small, 0.4%. So the Malaysian government kata it's not poor. So they are categorized as B40. So that's why istilah B40 all the time coming in. So the vulnerable are about 50%. So jadi yang menjadi masalah is tengah-tengah ni. Sebab banyak bantuan kerajaan tak sampai situ. Yang bantuan kerajaan banyak dekat situ. Yang sakit dia dekat sini. Dia ke sini pun dia tak dapat. But they're not also rich. They're earning about 5,000. Live in KL, 3,000 gone already. Tinggal 2,000. But you cannot classify them as poor. Or B40. They don't get to get BRIM. They don't get to get so many. But BRIM is kalau you kira sebenarnya 40 dia je sama. Really, if you really look at it, you bayangkan 1,200, you divide it by the 365 days, you divide by a family of 5, you really literally get 40%. And the way people hype about it, this is like 1 million punya argument, but it's only about 40%. That's why I am not against it, because to me, kalau kita yang bekerja, saya bekerja, you all yang kerja private sector, you dapat bonus. Biarlah makcik yang dekat kampung tu, it's only 1,200. But what I will argue for is that it must be attached to something yang productive. Maknanya for those yang mengambil BRIM, pastikan anak dia pergi kursus ke, bapak dia pergi kursus ke, bukan handouts. Itu yang kita nak argue lah, but I don't know the government will hear. Now, this is the B40 by negeri. Look at that. Sarawak, Selangor, B40 lah banyak. Itu miskin tegar, and then B40 is actually the B40 is that is the color lah, ya. So yang miskin tegar tu sikit sangat lah. So basically it's a B40 thing, and you look by states. So it is related to the income and also related to the punya tadi yang kita tengok tadi kan Selangor will have scored very high dia punya. Tapi interestingly, I just attended a talk. Rupanya wilayah yang dekat Putrajaya ni, they have the highest level of anak dia obese. Obese. Gemuk. And then satu lagi ialah berhutang. So it is quite a concern because these are government officials. Itu many of them are in the M40 tapi yang betul-betul ke atas tu. So dia banyak yang tak dapat. Okay, that is just to show to you. And this is just okay. This is based on household income. Biasa kalau you tengok yang real income is actually not increasing. Nominal income, this is what we call, this is the real income, this is the nominal income. We economists adalah cari nak mengira because of the cost of living and everything. Actually, when we say they are in income, dia orang meningkat, sebenarnya tak. Because the cost of living yang GST yang orang mengamuk tu. So these are the things. Tapi kalau you tengok dari segi pendapatan aja, okay lah meningkat. Then when they start, looking into the cost, the real cost, then the next. Okay, I just nak tunjukkan you, these are the data, household income. Look at the T20. You look at economic freedom tadi katanya is supposed to make things better. But what is happening in Malaysia, we find that it's not. Tengok sikit lagi sikit. Ini menunjukkan Gini coefficient. Tadi saya kata Gini coefficient semakin menurun. So in 2016 the latest is 0.39. So just to show that it's getting better. And another thing that we're having problem right now with economic freedom and blah blah blah. Look at our data for employment and unemployment. Our unemployment is about you want to brown to employed and unemployed. Maknanya, although we are still at what we call full employment, about 3% in economics. Full employment maksudnya orang yang nak mencari kerja, ada kerja. Yang penting jangan milih kerja. So that is what we call full employment. So there are about 516,000 yang menganggur. But yang biggest concern right now is graduate unemployment. Youth unemployment is about 12.1% according to data. But I cannot verify that. But menurut kajian yang kami dapati, about 12.5%. So I think must be after the recent graduation pun. Graduation pun 10. Oh, stress kami buat. Tapi kesian lah, you really pity. Yang ini ialah untuk menunjukkan Gini coefficient, we are not too bad. Of course, we are always beaten by Singapore. Or we are just a different one. They win in everything. Because Singapore is a class of its own. Okay, ini ialah income gap. So, nation income gap. So, for every $1 spent and for $1 earned by a Malay, a poor Bumi Putra have to dapat 5.3, lebih tinggi. Dia punya pendapatan dia untuk ini isu kemiskinan lah. So maknanya kalau kita tengok yang Chinese in 2016, dia orang punya kalau you tak kira ni, this is from the statistics department. Because kita cuma quoted data 2 tahun tau, so it's really not easy. Okay, now tadi Prof you also mentioned ethnic, geographical, gender. People said there is no gender inequality. Tak ada perbezaan. Dari segi upah, yes. For the same job, you are doing the same job, memang betul, upah betul. However, the moment you take into account overtime, now that's where the woman lose out. Because generally, the man takes overtime, woman, habis dia jam ke 5, zoom dia balik, look at the family and everything. So, if you look at income-wise for the same job, we are equal. Tapi so when they kutip-kutip, but this one is an old data, but it just shows that there is ketidakseimbangan dari segi upah. Ini man and female. Ini saya dapat juga mean income yang dia punya ni. Memang ada perbezaan dia. Okay? Ini dari segi kemudahan asas. Ini dah mula dapat mood ni. Sabah Sarawak. We have 44,000 tadi ingat Sarawak. Yang bukan happy lagi. So kalau tengok liputan air luar bandar, you tengok ni. Tanpa liputan, tengok tu. Saya ambil 2009, 2014. Look at Semenanjung. Your pink, your orange is so small. Look at Sabah and Sarawak. In 2009, 41% tak ada liputan apa ni? Air. So we rely on air hujan and things like that. You cannot rely anymore on our sungai. Nanti saya tunjuk lah. And then this one is electric. So electric and that. So di Semenanjung 2014 langsung tak ada lah. Maknanya 0.16% saja mungkin orang asli lah. So there is such a big gap even in terms of infrastructure, but most of you all know already this one lah. But these are just data. Ini juga menunjukkan kepada kita Semenanjung, ini. Tapi you to look at Sarawak is so much bigger than Semenanjung. I know Iban marah dan nak nyumpit. So yang ini just to show to you is laporan jenayah. So the rise in jenayah, like just to talk about happiness. And suddenly when we asked them, we did bukan we lah, I collected this, ambil data and then plotkan dalam bentuk infografik. More than half the population believe the system is falling now. Globally, they think 53%. In Malaysia, 52%. Half of our population have no more trust in the system. Okay, maknanya dia kata dah tak boleh dipercayai. Okay, top concern of Malaysia, number 1, corruption. Okay, number 2 is isu immigration lah, statelessness. Kalau di Sabah tu nak cerita lah, dia dah tak tahu yang maknanya dia orang ada 5 jenis dokumen. The next one, this is another interesting figure, a world of distrust. Initially in 2016 we were okay, kita terlepas. Malaysia number 51. Maknanya distrust for the government, of institution. Tadi Prof did mention institution. But by 2017 you tengok ni, orang tak percaya dengan institution. So you people in the NGO, you have a role to play. Alright? So this is our corruption index. We are number 55. That was the last data. Not to be proud of. We should be, we should be nearing the Nordic countries. I mean, Singapore is like no more. I can't remember what is it. Ours is 55. Then my students say, bagus tu doktor, dia better than do. Ya tu. Okay. Now the last part of my presentation, I just want to show you images from my study. Yes, we have achieved very rapid economic growth. That is the famous Ampangan. Look at that. What is the impact on the community? There's a lot of demonstration against mega projects. And these mega projects are meant for who? The question is, freedom for who? It is their land. But this one, you look at it, projects. Siapa yang kaya? First is a construction. And then electricity tu pergi ke mana? Sebut tak? So this one, this dam has been postponed. So but there's a lot of demonstration going on right now. But the government never said that we will stop. The government kata kami perlahan-lahan dulu lah. Baram is in Miri, Nova. If you go look at the map, dia map macam ni kan, dia kat bawah tu. It's huge area.
Kalau Sarawak punya pemerintahan mau jual bisnes kan, dia government can interfere sangat kan.
Macam mana?
I thought Sarawak punya
Dia orang minta sekarang.
dia orang sendiri yang uruskan kan.
Buat ini dah, dia dalam sana.
No, this is the federal project.
Dia bukan buat sendiri ni. So if you look at this dam, this is all, and then yang dapat kontrak ni is all Chinese, Mainland Chinese. Now if you go to Bakun, lagi lah you know. About 17 long houses were resettled, and then selama kita tak pernah bayar elektrik, tiba-tiba sekarang hutang elektrik beribu-ribu. See, they have a dam in front of their house, and then suddenly electricity comes in. Now they have to pay the electricity. So during the last election, they meminta supaya PM kata lupuskan. Of course, masa tu lupus lah. After that, I don't know what happened. Yeah, but there's a lot of this demonstration, and international NGOs are also in the story. Now this one I took this area. This is in Belaga Hine. If that gunung belakang tu is Indonesia. So you see, in Semenanjung you all habis dah tanah. Mana lagi nak pergi? Sabah and Sarawak. But you forget, our community ramai lagi bergantung pada hutan. That is their supermarket. That is where they find their food. That is where they. That's why issue tanah is not the same as what it is in Semenanjung. Issue di Semenanjung ialah you tak ada tanah. Bagi you create felda, of course people are happy, But here, they have the land all to themselves. Tanah di bawah hak adat istiadat. Ini isu ni. Big issue. But of course this is not a federal issue. This is a state issue. So they start building this, they clear this for plantation. So you see, development. What is development? Mega projects in the likes of dams. Mega projects in the likes of big Penbonio roads. It's okay lah Penbonio, fine. Tapi sebenarnya memerlukan jalan, sebenarnya rumah banyak. Dia tidak memerlukan Penbonio, dia perlu air, laut, sungai. Laluan dia sebenarnya sungai. Penbonio tu siapa yang akan dapat? Jadi Tapi benda tu bagus lah kan, bukan kata. So this one is clearance. I want to show to you also a family that I visited. This is a Penan family. You can never imagine that we have the tallest building just a few yards away. And look at this. This is happening. This is a Penan now house, about 5 of them. Very young family. Penan ni yang, because we have 2. One is Punan, where the other one is Penan. So these are the Penan. Penan ni is the nomadic. Dia rasa tidak pindah, dia pindah. So you nak cari dia, jangan nak cari dia nak buat survey. You will never catch them because you have to make an appointment with them. So it's a very young family, you know. So this is also not far. So issue basic infrastructure. My long house. Look at that. So, nak cerita. So we are talking about what? This is in Kapit. Kalau you pergi Kapit, one of the only place in Sarawak yang tak ada connection jalan raya.
Yang kat motor
Apa dia?
Yang kat motor.
Yes. So they all commute naik benda tu je lah. So when peak season, because you dah tak boleh duduk atas tu. Dulu orang Iban tu duduk atas tu. But now because of the sinking, so they make a ruling, you cannot naik atas. So during Gawai, during Christmas and everything, itu yang bergebut bagi nak gila tau. Yang Semenanjung during Hari Raya, you tambah bas kan. Ini tak ada. So either you come back or you don't come back. That's it. Then we have deforestation. Look at our sungai, beautiful color, just like our teh tarik. If you travel by plane, this is all about economic freedom. Because this yang punya possession ni semua syarikat. Yang ada kaitan ataupun yang tak ada kaitan. You know. Another one I want to show to you. This is another issue that is very very big in Sarawak. And Sabah not too bad, but Sabah. Tengok ni. Just a few days ago, there is also an event where they demonstrated because hak mereka, the High Court kata they rule in favor of the government. What it means when you rule in favor of the government, maknanya government boleh menggunakan tanah. Because tanah ni, government tengok tanah, aduh banyaknya kosong. Dia nak tanam padi, buat tanam padi, dia nak tanam sawit, balak and everything. Ni orang Iban ni nak mempertahankan. Because to them, hak ini diberi zaman British. So any land that they clear before 1958, menurut masyarakat ialah tanah milik mereka. But as far as the state is concerned, you tak ada title. You tak ada title. Tapi masyarakat ada they have their own rights. So ini big issue in Sarawak. If you hear ni, you faham tak tu? You tengok ni, kembalikan hak kami. Kami mahu tanah pemakai benua because masyarakat tradisional, they allocated their land. Ini untuk tinggal, yang ini untuk tanam padi, yang ini untuk buat perahu dia, untuk tempatnya kalau dia mati kan dia meninggal, dia panggil dia buat kubur tempat dia buat dia punya ni keranda dia. So dia ada all the, so pulau pemakai benua means that is the thing, you tak boleh kacau dia, you just have to leave it. So the state has already taken all these things, so dia orang jadi macam lembu sekarang, dia makin di encroach, and then it's there, tanah kami, nyawa warisan kami. If Dayak must die, Dayak die defending their NCR. And this is happening just 2 days ago. Still kalah juga.
This one between state and
the state and the indigenous community. So kalau dengan orang Dayak tu maksudnya the big one. And then we have the Iban macam saya lah, and then wrong dulu. So tanah-tanah ni semua we all have rights. Tapi you cannot prove it. Sebab you tak ada kertas, tak ada document. But if you ask orang masyarakat, dia tahu tanah saya ialah daripada sini ke situ. And dalam masyarakat tradisional, you berpegang pada, jadi you tak ada dokumen sebab kami pada nulis kan. Tu kasih baik saya di sekolah. Okay, loss of food, resources, ini rutan-rutan habis. So sekarang kalau you tengok apa yang dia hidup, how do they weave them? These are all the traditional gone. So this is all in the name of development. Okay, ikan dengan carilah. There's only one ikan now. If you want to be rich, there's one ikan called ikan purau. Purau ni kalau you jumpa setahun dia bagus. 1 kilo is 1,000 ringgit. So it is a commoditization of natural product. Know what happened now? Bila you jumpa ikan tu, apa you akan buat? You makan?
Jual.
Yeah, you jual. So now they don't eat fish. So where do they get their fish sauce? Kat bilik tu jaga tinggi tak tahu. Dia lihat ni, sada dalam tin. So this is what we call commoditization. So bila you beli ikan macam ni, yang mahal-mahal macam ni, because ikan macam ni are very priceless. Orang mesti nak beli ikan bau, ikan telah tu. So jumpa je seekor. Kalau zaman dulu, you jumpa ikan seekor, you bayang rumah panjang kan? You naik tangga, you bawa sikau, okay, bagi sikit kat rumah bilik nombor 1, bagi semua. By the time sampai rumah ni mungkin tinggal kepala ikan saja. Now, you dapat sikor ikan, buy you nak bagi kat neighbor you. So it creates a different type. It's commoditization. So and then ini rotan-rotan ni dah habis. Dia want source of untuk dia membuat anyaman semua untuk kehidupan dia, survival kehidupan habis. So that is development. And then look at this. That is our boarding school. Kalau you nak tengok MRSM you all, tengok ini MRSM Sarawak. Anak dia, ini Sabah punya, dia orang pergi ni, saya ambil lah daripada ni. Saya pernah pergi sekolah tu 6 jam, kata tak jadi saya masuk. And then another problem is social and cultural issues. Also due to commoditization, due to, I have another 2 more slides. Social and cultural issues due to rapid economic growth. And then our masyarakat yang dulu minum is for social issues. Social je. Sekarang is really minum. And berapa harga satu bia kalau sudah normal macam tilangan tu ada. Tu dia ipan kan, cuy. Dia nanti kali pergi rumah panjang dia dapat punduk lebih. Dia tak nak pakai minum tua, dia nak Carlsberg, dia nak. Ini sebut yes, status. Kalau minum tua tak ada kelas. So these are issues, you know. Jadi dulu tak ada masalah tu. Dulu semua minum tua. Yeah. The another thing that I really felt a loss is hilangnya our cultural heritage. So you tengok kat tepi tu is a Balak Road. And this is tanah perkuburan orang Ulu. So now with the building of all these roads and everything, they're clearing all this. Now you tengok ini yang zaman sekarang dah nilai seni dia dah lain. I will show you an old one that I found. Look at that.
Wow.
Ini dah tak ada lagi dah. So what they do, they will put the mayat dalam ni. So kalau dia ni status dia tinggi dia ni. He's a because dalam masyarakat orang dulu dia ada hierarki. Kami orang Iban tak ada. Orang Melayu lagi dah tak ada kan, orang Islam kan. Semua pakai kapal putih. Yang this one, no, the higher your class is, people will spend years nak membuat dia punya ni salong ni. Now if you go there with disebabkan oleh apangan dah menenggelami, banyak yang dah tenggelam. We have lost it. Saya lah orang macam saya sedih. So that's why you don't blame them for demonstration. Kalau you tengok this ada pernah in the 80s, the blockage, the syarikat Balak. But our last CM yang dah meninggal, Tan Sri, Anan Satin, he made the 7 big logging company sign an agreement to stop logging. Orang Sarawak happy sangat, but then it is. Another issue yang saya nak bangkitkan, the last slide I have, statelessness. Ini sangat-sangat menjadi masalah di Sabah Sarawak. Why? They don't have documents. So once you don't have this official document, you cannot go to school, you cannot go to hospital. Sebab dia dah jadi masalah. And most of them are the indigenous community. So this give rise to another problem. Kami kan kelas, kami ialah lain-lain. Kalau tengok dokumen rasmi, kami semuanya dalam kategori lain-lain. So memang betul Madeline dalam Myanmar tu. So this give rise to new issues yang you akan sini media tak cover. Daya is a Dayak word, Putra is a Sanskrit word, Dayak is alien. So that is us. And then another one, globalization issue because of nak menguruskan ladang di Sarawak, bawa Bangladesh to work in the farm because orang Dayak tak nak kerja. So suddenly there was a big demonstration. So that is my last slide. It will end to this. So sekarang kan orang mendengar. That in the end they didn't bring. They bring only here. But yang working now is not Bangladesh, it's the Indonesians. They will take half of the income yang sanggup diterima oleh orang tempatan. When I told you at the border, so if the payment is about 15 ringgit, the Indonesian are willing to take about 10 ringgit. So of course the companies will take them. So ini dia issue. So that this is my last slide. So if we do not address all these issues well, despite our economic growth, we will face a society, we will face a nation that is going to be very, very divided. Itu saya tak sebut tentang isu Allah punya isu di Semenanjung tu. How our Bible tadi disebut bagi tadi. So, and this one has been a kind of a rallying cry for the Sarawakians and also Sabahan. So if you go every year, you akan dengar cerita 22 bulan Julai, you pergi Sarawak, you will see all this demonstration. So now you can see that the state and federal is negotiating because we have the what we call the M20 punya point for Sabah and M18 for Sarawak. Maknanya ada 18 perjanjian. Sarawak is demanding I want to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of them is bahasa Inggeris untuk sekolah I don't quite agree lah. But number 8, the other one is autonomy, financial autonomy. Itu yang nak diberi tu. Because kalau kita tengok Petronas punya contract and everything, the Slovakians think and Sabahans think that the contracts are given to not to orang Melayu. Itu yang marah sangat tu. But now under Datuk Seri Najib, he is really negotiating. So as a nation, I think these are things. Yes, we have achieved economic growth. Yes, we have reduced our poverty. Yes, inequality have existed. But when you really look deep into it, there are things that are broiling. Like Prof said, something if kalau kita tak selesaikan, it's going to be a problem. And they look at this future. This is in Kuching. Look at this young guy. Look at the house. So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much. Yes.
So saya Abdul dari Jaya. So I heard somewhere where actually globalization or the free trade, which is better than protectionism too, which brings the whole income up. So memang betul the rich getting richer, but the poor doesn't necessarily go poorer. They actually go up, but of course the income equality is there. Tapi kena saya ni bukan kata no more free trade, no more companies coming in. So what is the solution? And the second question is, memang our third quarter result memang naik lah, 6.2, betul. And so Najibonomics or the economy of making people miserable now but better in tomorrow times is actually better lah. So what are your comments on that?
Okay, can I have another question?
My name is Madeline. I'm from India. I just want to ask about minimum income. So, because I have it from the budget country, they want to increase the minimum income from 1,000 to 1,500. Is this going to solve the problem in the B40s and B40s lah, because they are the middle one? So I just want to know, this one is it an effective solution to settle down the problems in B40?
Alright. If we have more time, we'll allow for more questions. But for now, maybe I can get response from the office.
Okay, firstly, globalization, good or bad, is it going to solve problem? I think the same point that we mentioned, freedom for who. Again, when we talk about globalization, the issue is not about everybody gaining, but how much do you gain? So if I go into an arrangement where I'm going to be better off, but if other people are more better off than me, right? So the issue is not only about whether everybody is better off, but by how much. Let me give you a simple example. If you go to the standard, maybe outdated international economics theory, comparative advantage. If I provide the shoelace and you provide the shoe, both of us will gain, but I'm gaining a little bit, you are gaining a lot. Right? So I think what the data has shown is that globalization has actually increased inequality, especially financial sector globalization. Okay, so if there is anything that we should be critical about when it comes to globalization, it is the financial dimension of globalization, especially the money that comes in and out into the stock market. This, I think, is a major issue because, again, when it comes into the country, who is in the stock market? Are the ones from Sarawak and Sabah? Are they the ones having shares in the stock market? No. And what happens when people trade in the stock market? They buy and sell, there's no tax. So that's why I think when there was a suggestion to put a tax on financial transaction, immediately everybody jumped up. Yeah? Whereas that's where the majority of money is. So it is the financial aspects of globalization that have actually increased these inequalities tremendously. I need the Najibonomics to minimum wage 1,005. I think it's not so simple. You have to look at depending on which statistic you use. You've got either between 1.5 million unregistered immigrant workers, or the figure that probably is more closer to the case, 4 million unregistered immigrant workers in the country. So you put a minimum wage, 1,500. Employers are going to go for these 4 million workers, right? So even the unemployment figures, that's with 4 million people. I mean, it's really frightening if you think about it. The number of immigrant workers you have in total, 6 to 7 million. Maybe 2 million registered, but you're making 4 million registered. And that's like about 50% of your labor force. Right? So 1,005 is okay, I mean, good to increase, but how do you make sure that they are going to be the ones that are hired by the companies? This is a major issue, and I think that's got to be solved. Our immigrant labor, especially the unrecorded ones, the illegal ones.
Okay. So I wanted to respond to the one about whether it should be protective and not, because if you look at the initial stage of development, protectionism is one of the main tools yang sering digunakan untuk melindungi industri tertentu lah. Like for example our sedianya automotive now is already jadi diri lah. So I mean 51% gone. We control 51 and then diri 49 kan. Okay, so maknanya in initial stage it is memang one of the tools that are being used to protect, to ensure that you can develop, but you cannot sustain it for too long. So I mean, maknanya I am not saying to say it's totally wrong, or I'm saying that we must open up our market. But in the present age that we are living right now, when everything is free flow, that's why when Malaysia tried to adopt the selective currency control in 1997, we are seen as the pariah of the world because we are doing something that is totally different than the orang lain. So jadi maknanya now at the present state of the economic, where we only have one system, that is the capitalist system, memang tak ada pilihan lain, because the moment you see as being protectionist, you are seen as government intervention, and government intervention is always seen chronism. Government intervention is seen as corruption. And see, when we did the bailout, when the country adopted the bailout, during the 1997 crisis, Malaysia was condemned like nobody's business. But at that time, kita tidak ada pilihan. Why? Because of the issue of DEB, Bumi Putra, where to put them? If you take that out, yang mati is apa? The small businesses, it's not only Bumi Putra. So there are times when protectionist policy is okay, but you cannot sustain it for too long because it's very costly. Another thing is, of course, you will have subsidy lah, sebab you nak biaya ni kan. So but in the long run, we must be prepared. So that leads us to Najib-nomic. I love the part Najib-nomic. Everybody wants to claim that they have the economic, but to me, it's just any economics. The only thing that is different is that kalau kita tengok di rantau ASEAN, yang agak slightly different is cuma si Jokowi-nomics. Because Jokowi is a populist punya approach. But if you talk to middle class Indonesian or the upper class Indonesian, they hated his policies. Because his policies is very pro rakyat, to the point that dia boleh menyebabkan dia menyekat pembangunan daripada syarikat-syarikat besar. But economics under SBY was quite okay. So if you talk to Indonesia now, I will tell you. But Jokowi is a populist punya president. So Najib is just doing like many of us, like you say, sakit sekarang, berakit-rakit dahulu, berenang-renang kemudian sakit-sakit sekarang. It's not that he has a choice. GST is something that it was in fact the idea was mooted dalam zaman Tun Daim lagi, but it's politically not good. Siapa want to do GST, although it is only from a reduction from 10% or to 6%. Masalah kita ialah pemantauan. Kita di bandar kita boleh, if you pergi satu kedai, dia charge higher, you have a choice pergi kedai lain. Kan it's about choice. Luar bandar you don't have a choice. Itulah yang dia terima. So jadi maknanya to me kan, issue GST, we economists, we have long said that it is one of the best system. You ask the rakyat, oh my goodness, that is the last thing that you have to do. Itu je lah. I don't know. Maybe you to respond to the Najib-nomics.
Well, maybe the only one point that I want to mention is with regards to when you want to tax people, do you tax the income or do you tax the consumption? So this is why many economists would say that it's better to tax the consumption because if you don't consume, you don't pay the tax. But when you want to tax the consumption, you're supposed to reduce the tax on the income, which I think has happened in the last budget. They have reduced 2% for certain levels, but it has not gone down equivalently. So you've gained 42 billion ringgit revenue from GST, but You've not reduced your other sources. So people feel that it's maybe not commensurate. But that's one, consumption tax or income tax. So if you have consumption tax, you should be having less income tax. It should be the case, but it's not the case.
Very small.
Yeah. One question.
All right.
Okay, Dr. Madeline, basically I'm Tamizi. So I just want to ask you regarding on the few slides before you finish your presentation. So I saw about the concern about the immigration in Malaysia. So I just want to know is about, like another country. I give you example like Astra just now. So they have big concern about the immigrant issues. So I just want to know how far our concern in Malaysia about the immigration issue, because it all of course related to economic issues, freedom of movement, okay, economic freedom and few things. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one. Maybe you can take another question.
Yeah. Voice.
Hello, my name is Abdul Muiz. I have a question for both panelists. First, about the liberalization, it seems like the less intervention of government. It seems like the liberalization is promoting that, since the consequence is the rich people getting richer and the poor getting poor. So let's say if the government do not interfere in the housing, health, and education, so it will become these three elements will become a business. So as a government must take care of their rakyat. So because the way I see it, it's happened in that way. So question to Dr. Berma. Your last slide showed the Sarawak for Sarawakian, Sabah for Sabahan. So nowadays it seems like semangat kenegerian itu makin menebal, not just for Sabah and Sarawak, even Johor, yeah. So it seems like maybe their intention to separate from Malaya, and even today we see what happened to the Brexit. The UK want to separate exit from the EU, and then now today people discussing what happened after Queen Elizabeth death. It will be Republic movement. So, and even the Scotland make a referendum to separate from the UK itself. So today topic is about economic freedom. So the way I see is liberalization, like what the Jeremy Corbyn from the Labour Party say, is only is supposed to work for few, not for many. So economic policy should be work for many and not for few. That's all. Thank you.
Maybe last question.
One more.
Hi, my name is Aslam from UPM Economics today. Okay, I just want to know whether this government implement a BRIM for B40. For me, it's not good in terms of our currency and our debt rate. So, as a researcher, economician, do you think that one is a very good implement for government? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Just take a few of the ones. I leave the immigration one to you. Liberalization going to create greater inequality. I really think that it depends on what those steps that take place, how you are able to ensure that the result of that liberalization does not create that greater inequality. So it depends on how you put into place the structures to protect the vulnerable. So if you think about let's say opening up your investment and bringing in FDI, this is a form of liberalization. But then if you have, for example, certain policies to ensure that the jobs that will be created by the FDI goes to certain quarters, and then you don't necessarily have to lead to that greater inequality. But it goes down to what type of rules that you set in place. So it's not take away all the rules, but the proper regulation that you need to talk about. I remember listening to Joseph Stiglitz years ago, and he was talking about this deregulation, and he said something which I think everybody agrees today. Deregulation doesn't mean no regulation. Right? It just means proper regulation. Right? So you have to have proper regulation. The state feeling, I don't know what to say about this. When I went to universities in the 80s, state feeling was still very strong. You go to university, you still have your Kelantanese group, and now I cannot say because my wife's from Kelantan. And I'm still not one of the Kelantanese after many years of marriage. Johorians and so on. So, but it went away. At least in IIUM, the state feeling was in a way taken away because we tried to go beyond the states. We were a new university basically, so we didn't allow formal clubs based on state, right? And I think it worked. Generally speaking, it kind of went out. We didn't have these state issues that maybe was there in the 60s and even 70s. Today it's come back, I think primarily because people feel that they are not getting what should be theirs, and I think Sabah Sarawak is the best example. This is why I do believe that the strong opposition we have in Parliament is good, because if not for the strong opposition in Parliament, I don't think anybody would have bothered about Sabah and Sarawak, and even Malaysia Day is only now recognized. I even myself, my entire school days, we never thought much about September 16. But now, September 16 is a holiday, right? So why are you happy? Because of that political need to do it. So there has been some good. And if you look at all the budgets for the last how many years, a sizable portion now going to Sabah and Sarawak. Of course, we can then argue who in Sabah Sarawak gets it, right? but that's another issue. But at least it's been done. BRIM, I don't think BRIM is an issue of debt. It's like 40 cents a day. You're not going to
government expenditure.
Government debt. Sorry, I was thinking you're talking about household debt, which is very high. But if you look at the government debt, it has actually gone down as a percentage of GDP. So they've been able to balance, thanks to your GST. Right? The GST revenue has basically saved the government in terms of going down into further debt. So that's why the GST is here to stay. It's not going to go away. Hopefully it won't go up, but it's not going to go away for sure, because it's actually one way to do BRIM. Is BRIM good? In the short run, of course, it has increased. You saw the figures of inequality going down. One of the reasons is BRIM. Because your lowest, although it's increase of 1,002, it still increases the income of the lowest level. Right? That, and together with minimum wage, probably has improved the performance. So, do you need to maintain it? Well, I think it's not something that you should maintain for too long. It's better to give the fishing rod than to continue to give fish. So, but I think now people just don't have fish, so you give them the fish. In fact, now they're saying they may even give bring payment to the M40. If the price of petrol continues to go up, they may even think of some way to give money to the M40 capitals. I do not know if that's going to happen.
Maybe last few weeks more.
To respond to the
last
question on the immigration. If you look at immigration yang paling big problem, I mean sebenarnya ada lah, but it's more of yang illegal, yang they want to jadi illegal not because they want masuk illegally. They were legal when they came in, but once dia orang punya punya permit dah habis, now dia orang tak balik. So dia become illegal. But Sabah is very different. memang yang datang dipanggil illegal tu memang illegal. Okay, dia naik perahu, dia naik apa. Now, the next question that you ask, it should not just be seen as having just an identity card or whatever it is. Because the next question, orang sama akan tanya, immigration itu tanggungjawab siapa? If not for federal.
Yeah.
Siapa yang sebenarnya issue all those kad biru tu? It's not the state. So it is a very touchy issue. A lot of you, and yang jadi masalah dia pula lagi, dia dah berangkai-rangkai. Ada yang bersara mara yang dah duduk dekat sini, and then election, and then issue of having a Malay Islam majority in politics. Because di Sabah, the Malays and Muslims are not majority. So how do you make them majority? Jadi ada cerita dia. In fact, we even have a royal commission tau to just study about this thing with the recommendation. Tapi like any royal commission, sebagian besarnya mungkin sukar untuk dilaksanakan atau tiada ke political will nak disana. But if you want to do that, there is an RCI punya report, you can read it. So Hakam have done every year dia punya report just cerita tentang ni. But the crux of the problem is there is ada benda yang lebih besar lagi yang kita tak tahu.
Yeah, I understand, but I just my concern is okay, if you look at the like Brexit,
Okay.
people talk about the immigration.
Okay.
About the immigrant.
Right.
So so the what we call it is a work opportunity.
Okay.
But how about in Malaysia?
Okay.
Is it people concerned about that, or people just feel comfortable living with them?
I mean, there is no, not that I know of, because I don't do human resource management, whether people are satisfied. But the fact that kalau you tengok data, that is the second concern tau. The first concern was corruption.
Yep.
The second concern was on immigration. Cuma masalah sekarang is this big dilemma. We are almost to the point that we cannot live without the immigrant workers.
Yeah,
And
understand.
ini yang menjadi dilemma kita sekarang.
Yeah.
You go to our plantation, almost 100% is immigrant workers.
Yeah.
So jadi you are right. There is freedom of movement, but if you look at the experiences of this issue of Brexit, one of the main reason why yang menyebabkan mereka keluar ialah because they were so worried about the immigrants coming in from Italy, from dari negara-negara ketiga melalui Italy, but because they were in Europe. So dia kata, selagi kita dalam bersama dengan Dewan ni, we are going to be stuck with this problem. And that was one of the main reason why they succeeded in saying that we must get out. So jadi isu ni mungkin dia belum lagi ke kemuncak because kita pengangguran masih belum lagi teruk. But the moment it goes beyond 5% or 7%, but even now my students yang graduate dari university dah mulai bising. Because they always think that peluang pekerjaan itu diambil oleh pekerja asing. So it is going to be a problem in the future. It is a concern, but policy-wise, I'm not too sure yet because our human resource is lain, immigration is lain.
Yes.
Like Prof kata tadi, you buat like minimum wage. So sebenarnya siapa nanti yang akan dapat minimum wage? And interestingly, Sabah and Sarawak is much lower last time. It's about 900, sebenarnya almost 1,000. Mengamuk masa pas papa.
Yeah, because I think it's slightly what we call it as a macam nak kata betul tak betul lah sebab the concern ni bila kita cakap soal pengangguran pada akhirnya macam peluang pekerjaan yang diambil oleh imigran itu kan bukannya bidang pekerjaan yang kita punya graduate nak masuk. Tapi the way portray kan itu jadi concern saya kan. Sebab dia nampak macam is a big apa kita panggil populism punya issue. Yeah.
Okay, with that we conclude our discussion on economic freedom. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Doctor, for willing to spend your time here. Thank you, you guys, on behalf of Lee. I would like to thank you guys for participating. And we'll surely meet you guys for the 4th Malaysia Freedom